Hello and welcome into our May altar. It is an official welcoming in as we're going to pull our first collective week ahead cards here for the month of May. And I'm so excited to share with you our featured decks, both by the same creator, the Transient Light Tarot and the Find Your Own Way Oracle by Ari Wisner. Amazing. I can't wait to share both of these with you, as well as some other beautiful decks and elements that I'll be weaving in throughout the month. In fact, for the Empowerment Pack this month, which is just kicking off, Part 1 of our month ahead reading is all ready to share with anyone who would like to come along. And there you will get to see the cards we pulled from the Beltane Oracle, as well as the amazing Witch's Grimoire Oracle series, 3 volumes, where we chose the herbology, the crystal, as well as the fauna or spirit animal that we are working with this month. We got into it. So if you would like to join, I'm just starting those personal month ahead readings here this first full week of May. So do check out the link, whether you're here in the Empowerment Sharecast or checking this out in one of my social media spaces. The details will be in the caption below, how you can come for the full bundle for the Empowerment Pack for the month, including the bonus Blue Moon reading on May 31st. Or if you just want an a la carte reading for just some personal guidance for dipping into the energies coming in for you this next month, check that out. Okay, let's get into it. We're going to start here with the Transient Light Tarot, and we'll finish it off with an oracle message from the Find Your Own Way Oracle. So, we had kind of a big full moon on Friday, the Scorpio full moon, the flower moon. How is everyone feeling? It's deep, transformational, definitely bringing some things up from the depths. I know a lot of us have been having very vivid dreams, even in some cases, prophetic dreams. My daughter had a wild experience. She had a dream the night before that the fire alarm went off at her work, and then the next day got a call from her friend and coworker that exactly that had happened, that they were standing outside with the fire crew and had no idea what had set it off. And she was very weirded out. And I said, hey girl, I've always told you, you are super sensitive. And yes, she says, I'm psychic. I said, yep, that's what you were dipping into. So all kinds of experiences. I always love to hear from you on the ways that all of these things are coming forward, how you're experiencing the energies. This week is going to be no exception. So we're going to talk a little bit about the astrological weather. But first, let's get these 5 cards out here, starting with Monday to kick it all off. Ooh, nothing like a new beginning. Ace of Vessels, Ace of Cups. So yes, as we ride all those scorpionic waves, there's a message in a bottle here. So we're going to feel into that as it sets the tone for this first full week of May. And then Tuesday is the potential block or challenge this week. The way we may experience a challenge or feel something come up as a bit of a stumbling block, and yet in what ways is that just what's needed to help direct us through the energies this week? So let's see. There we go. Ooh, more cups, 9 of Vessels. So this is the wishes card. And so this is abundance of offerings coming in here that could prove to be a bit challenging, or some type of a block there in the, getting of all the things on our plate. So we'll talk about that in the card messages coming up. Let's see. Wednesday is our midweek blessing. A midweek blessing here this first week of May. Gotta get in my groove whenever I'm shuffling a new deck for the month. Ooh, 10 of Wands. Okay, so some fire energy coming in here with the 10 of Wands. So that basket is quite full, but it's a blessing. So let's take a look at what that might be bringing in for you this next week. Thursday is how are we growing? And here at the beginning of a new month, I like to say, how might we expect to grow, not just this week, but the whole month throughout this whole season of Taurus, or in this new cycle that was just set off on the other side of that full moon in Scorpio. So let's see. How are we growing? That one there. Champion of Vessels. Wow. Lots of water, right? Lots of water. I'm going to refresh. This is a court card. I believe it is the Page of Cups, but I'm going to double check that when we get into the messages. This deck beautifully uses different names to the traditional tarot. So that one is the Champion of Vessels. And then Friday is going to wrap up the week for us with a final card. Let's see. We've got lots of water, fire in the middle. What's going to cap it off here for Friday's energy? Okay. More fire. The Two of Wands. Wow. So you'll see this is, it's an amazing deck. I love it. It just gives us a whole different feeling. I know we had that bright, sparkly spring weight tarot all throughout April. This is giving us a much more muted and subdued energy, which is actually feeling, I love the earth tones for Taurus season, but wait till you see the oracle that's coming in here to bring us that splash of color. So we'll just make a little room for that. Love, Find Your Own Way, Oracle, bringing us a little punctuation mark for our collective messages this week. And of course, as we go through these, if you would like a personal card pull this week, you can reach out and let me know. I will be in touch with those on the other side of the comprehensive work I'm doing this week. Of course, since I will be connecting with all of the Empowerment Pack participants with their month ahead readings. And again, you are invited to come along for that, for sure. But if you would just like a single card pull, which I offer as a complimentary loving service, I send that to you as a video recorded card pull on Marco Polo, the free space where we share our messages. You let me know and I will send that your way later this week. Message there. Okay. One card. Let's see. Ooh. Love overcomes fear. So definitely bringing that light in the midst of this energy of fear, and that light and love overcoming. So we will feel into that one to punctuate all the messages here in just a few moments. First, we're going to take a look at the astrological weather coming in this week. Let's take a look. All right, starting with some intuitive astrology from Forever Conscious coming in here with this first full week of May. So last week we had that hybrid crossover from April to May, and I highlighted that Scorpio full moon, which once again, if you would like to go deep with that full moon that has just passed, that is all a part of the first reading of the month, the part 1 for the May Empowerment Month Ahead energy. So that reading is ready to go for anyone who would like to come along for the Empowerment Pack this month. And then the next part will be my reaching out to you with your personal video recorded card pulls that will take into account all of those astrological aspects, as well as the cards that come forward just for you for some intuitive guidance for your month ahead. So we touched on that last week. May 2nd, over the weekend here, just yesterday as I'm recording this on May 3rd, Sunday evening, May 2nd, we had Mercury in Taurus. So now Mercury moved into Taurus, which was really softening some of the fiery energy that had been taking place since the start of April. Mercury in Taurus is slow and deliberate, which is helping to slow our thought processes and calm our minds. Now, we may find that we move into a more grounded headspace in this energy that's allowing us to assess with greater clarity what we wish to nurture and nourish in our lives. The first aspect I'm highlighting for the week ahead, and I've saved this cheesy comment for just now. It's May 4th, Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. Also happening on that day, Mars in Aries square Jupiter in Cancer. So this is Monday, May 4th. Mars in Aries will square Jupiter in Cancer, giving us energy and motivation to get things done. Now there's a chance that we could feel overwhelmed by all of the things we have to do, but once the tension eases, we can feel a sense of satisfaction and relief. Mars can stir up those heated emotions and those feelings of irritability, and Jupiter can magnify these. So just be mindful of any bubbling emotions and try to give yourself a healthy outlet. This alignment can also support making progress on home improvement projects. So keep that in mind as we kick off the week. Next, May 6th, Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So it's been a good run. We've had about 6 weeks with all planets moving direct, nothing in retrograde. So there's been a lot of forward moving momentum. But here, the planet of death and rebirth is stationing retrograde on May 6th. So Pluto stations retrograde, giving us this first retrograde planet in a while. Pluto is known as the Lord of the Underworld and is connected to transformation, cycles of death and rebirth, and both inner and outer power. Pluto spends almost half the year in retrograde, so this is a normal part of its cycle. And when in retrograde, we're invited to look over past transformations and to reflect on the deaths and rebirths we have moved through. Now, sometimes Pluto retrograde can bring some power dynamics to our attention to help us address where we may be giving our power away or where we need to stand up more. So as Pluto is going to be retrograde in the sign of Aquarius, we may find ourselves thinking about community or pondering how we fit in. Now, Aquarius can be a very healing energy, so our attention may turn to practices that enrich our well-being. On the world stage, we may see Pluto retrograde shining a spotlight on the use of technology and AI. For sure, we are already seeing that. So as I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, the water bearer. No wonder we have so many vessels cards on the altar this week. So with that, let's take a look now at the intuitive messages and cards coming forward. All right, here we go. We're going to start with Monday, the first of 3 vessels cards that came up for us here this first week of May, which is the Cups suit. Now, something really beautiful about this deck, the Transient Light Tarot, is there is a little prose at the beginning of each suit that we see. And since we have so many here from the vessels, I just want to share with you from the book that beautiful prose here. So it says, "Is your heart open? Are you ready to receive? Given out, now taking in love in a liquid form. How fast do you want the river to flow? Do you need to put up a dam? As we traverse from 1 to 10, you can find the waterfall of pure fulfillment if you work with temperance and tune in to alignment." Beautiful. So we begin with the ace at the 1, the Ace of Vessels, which is bringing to you a message in a bottle. A love letter from the universe is drifting in on the tide. Sweet words remind you that you are still invited to reconnect with the world around you, however distant you may feel. You are made of it after all. This vessel is a bottle. Fill it up, pour it out, and be a channel of energy and love. You may feel like just a drop in the ocean. Take a deep throat chakra gulp and become part of the deep blue. Beautiful. That is such a beautiful interpretation of this card. And I couldn't help but think about what we were just talking about with the incoming Pluto retrograde in Aquarius and how we talked about where we may be feeling that review and reflection about community or pondering how we fit in. And I was hearing just that in that beautiful message. So, aces are offering something new coming in, a la this message in a bottle. And so Monday is showing that there's something coming in for you this week. Now, this can be in the realm of relationships, love, business, partnership, something that's coming in as a fresh beginning, but yet, in the tide. And so it may not be a smooth arrival. It could be something that still feels a little bit off kilter, but yet paying attention to what's coming in and really using that clarity and discernment. And I think that makes a lot of sense looking at what comes in just after this on Tuesday. So let's take a look at that for our potential blocker challenge. All right, Tuesday coming in with a lot of offerings here, right? This is the 9 of vessels. So as we just talked about the message in a bottle and what might be coming in the tide, we see all of these abundant cups, vessels filled. Ours for the taking, perhaps, right? This is the card of wishes. So in what way might this be blocked or challenged? The message here in the Transient Light Tarot says, this beautiful feast is held by a thriving support network of friends and family. Each individual brought something to share, so every member of the flock is provided for. Gather others around you, enjoy their support, and flex yourself in gratitude to support them when their time of need comes. This is not a duty or charity. This is community, camaraderie, and chosen family. Wow. So we're really getting a lot around this community. So this is the Aquarian energy coming in. And like I say, with Pluto ramping up for this retrograde the next day, because this is Cinco de Mayo. This is May 5th now. So we're talking about, and again, remember, these energies are flowing throughout the week. These are just placeholders. It's not like on Tuesday this is happening, right? So we're feeling into this energy. We're weaving a story with our message in a bottle. Now we have everyone bringing something to the table in the name of community, family, connection. And so, I'm feeling like some people may not be feeling that. This is where that Pluto retrograde energy is coming in, where we have an opportunity to, put our attention there in terms of, healing that wound, enriching. Now, this is interesting because, last week we started with the 5 of Pentacles and ended with the 5 of Cups. Both of those cards, 5 of Pentacles especially to this, FOMO, on the outs, not invited inside, feeling alone and down. There's a sense of lack, right? Then we had the 5 of Cups on Friday, which was, and that was, full moon in Scorpio, going deep, pulling it up and saying, hey, what is it time for us to release and let go? To free ourselves, to create space, whether this is through forgiveness, shedding, releasing, and realigning our focus on what is life-giving and energizing and coming in new for us. And so again, we're still sort of sifting through all of that. It's not like, okay, we checked off our box for Friday and that's it, we're done. We're still processing and integrating everything that Scorpio full moon brought up. So I do feel that, this is an opportunity for a shift in perspective. If we feel like we have nothing worthwhile to bring to the table, or we're feeling that sense of lack or, not good enough, or we feel that we're always giving and we're coming up empty when it comes to others, somewhere in that is something that some people may be feeling and others not. So this is how it is with a collective reading. Some aspects are going to resonate more than others, but if it is resonating for you, or you want to delve more deeply into how this may be showing up for you this week, that's where you might like a free personal card pull, and you might really like to go into it by joining me for the Empowerment Pack so we can take a really wide angle look at all of the different aspects coming up for you personally this month. But let's move on to our midweek blessing coming in with our first fire card. All right, Wednesday, midweek blessing coming in with this full basket, a bundle of 10 wands coming in here, fire energy. So 10 of wands here from the Transient Light Tarot. Working and achieving to your full potential is bittersweet. Although carrying the load is deeply fulfilling and honorable, abundance can also be a burden of responsibility. When your spirit and energy overflows, maintain your sustainability and share the load with others. You may have gained a new experience or insight that will be hard to share with others. Take courage and follow your spirit's call. So that makes a lot of sense. 9 vessels, 10 wands, there is a lot. There's an abundance. And whether we're talking about, the wands for me, the fire, the sparks, the ideas, the inspiration, your work in the world, and how are you going to wield your wands, which is exactly what Friday's card is asking. So that may be hard to convey to others, or we may feel misunderstood at the table. There's an aspect of that coming in for some, and then the other thing there that I was feeling in that was, some new experience or insight that's coming in for you where, you're holding all of that. And as it says, carrying the load is deeply fulfilling and honorable, but there can also be a burden of responsibility. So this, this is an energy that always gives me the lean on me vibe. Like, do you really need to carry all of those wands all by yourself, all at the same time? Is there a way to better distribute that energy? And this is something that actually came up for Mila and I in our collaboration of Stars and Cards. The May episode is now playing. I'm going to include the link here. I haven't had an opportunity to share that yet with all of the May energies just blowing right out the gate. So we absolutely pulled out. We used another gorgeous deck in that episode as well. And we pulled out the 10 of Wands to take a look at that, and it had a whole different vibe with a very similar message. So you may want to expand into the messages there too, because we spoke to that from the aspect of the cards as well as the stars. So check out that link below or in the Empowerment Sharecast. I will be putting a little preview of that and a promo, so you can check that episode out at your leisure as well. So yeah, just this sense of what all we're carrying, and is there perhaps a way that we can redistribute it as well? Like, see how it's all, concentrated into this basket in terms of working smarter, not harder in all that we are carrying. Because, in general, this time of year tends to be a very busy time for many. They call it, the season of dads and grads. We have a lot of different types of milestones. We actually are building up first to the moms, because here in the US and in other parts of the world, Sunday next week is Mother's Day. Mother's Day comes first before the dads and the grads. But, a lot going on here in terms of milestone moments and celebrations and gatherings. Also, many times in many places, school is winding down. So my calendar is ridiculous. Like, when we look at this every week, we're triple, quadruple booked. And there's only, 2 sets of adult hands managing all the things, the 4 kids. And it's like, music concerts and sports games. And I have a graduate this year. I have another one moving home from college this week. So this is what I'm talking about from a most practical point of view. You might be finding your plates very full, right? Very full, and needing to distribute that better, more efficiently for you, which includes asking for and accepting help. Also, sometimes saying no, right? We can't accept everything. There isn't much room left in that basket for another bundle of wands. So having to use discernment when it comes to all of the invitations, all of the opportunities to do things in the spring, or whether we just have a lot going on at work or in our personal lives, or all of the above. So feeling that, but there's a blessing in really finding new, more efficient ways to streamline how we're distributing our energy, which includes making time for ourself and for self-care and for rest and for rejuvenation. So I think that's something that we'll see expand as we continue to move into the month, because Taurus season really wants us to look at ourself, our health, our wealth, and really how we are nourishing our own being, in addition to carrying all the things. So let's keep it going. We'll take a look at Thursday for how we are growing. All right, Thursday, bringing in our first court card. And to clarify, the champion of vessels is the Knight of Cups, like the Knight of Cups in the tarot. So in this deck, our court cards are the Page of Cups is the Apprentice of Vessels, the Knight of Cups, the Champion of Vessels, the Queen of Cups, the Keeper of Vessels, and the King, the Crown of Vessels, or of course, whatever suit they come up in. So Apprentice, Champion, Keeper, and Crown. So here we have the Champion of Vessels. And this one is bringing through, and this is traditionally the Knight of Cups, which is the romantic of the tarot, you know? And so the Champion of Vessels lets the heart lead as they journey towards their pursuits. But this is also a card of hesitation. The heart knows what it wants, but it is sensitive to the challenges it will have to face to find it. This champion has paused at a river, dividing them from the prize. Are you hesitating or perhaps taking a healthy step back to prepare? Test the waters and gently ease your heart into the cool stream. Protect its vulnerability and foster bravery. Wow, so that kind of really does speak to our potential blocker challenge this week, because, you know, there is this sense of the heart knows what it wants, the card of wishes, right? But it is sensitive to the challenges that we have to face in order to find it. So yes, we want to feel loved. We want to love and feel loved and be in relationship with others and in community and to feel valued and abundant and all those beautiful things. And yet investing in what it takes to arrive there. You know, the little backpack here is making me think about, you know, like I said, the season of grads. And while I have a senior that's graduating, we have someone else in our life who is graduating college, and he's doing so very remarkably, a 4-year degree that he has gotten in just 3 years' time. And we're all so proud of him. And it's just amazing the work that he has put in to accomplish that. And yet there's much work ahead of him in terms of his ambitions. And so he has a lot of desires. And this is what I'm saying is, like, that's just one specific example. But the work that it takes in that to unpack all of that, it's dense. There's a lot going on. So this is where we can feel the challenge of our goals, whether as lofty as they may be, to shoot for the stars, because really with this sense of coming into community, allowing for help, the lean on me principle that's coming forward here, and then just this sense of, you know, step back a little bit and prepare. And this was all part of what the full moon in Scorpio was asking us, because, you know, when we're talking about what we desire and what we've been wanting to bring to fruition, having a moment of pause and reflection and having to go a little deeper beneath the surface to say, I know that I've been working my tail off for whatever this thing is that I say that I want or that I think I ought to have, but do I actually even want that anymore? Does it resonate with, you know, who I have become, who I am becoming? And so there could be some things to unpack there. And, you know, the crow on the top does give me a little vibe of, you know, crows hearken change, and they are noisy. So sometimes we might be feeling a pull toward change in the wind, something different. And yet we feel like we've already invested so much into this other thing that we said we wanted. And so this is all part of what may be under review during this period of time, to really the whole death and rebirth of self and of our desires and of all the things. So, you know, I think for many, you know, this can just be on the surface. There's things that are coming to pass, and we're having an opportunity to decide what we want to put our energy into and what we don't. But you may be really considering some big questions right now in your life about your work, your, you know, where you live, how you live, and with whom you live, you know, all of those types of things under review. And so, you know, really turning all that love inward to self, to also give yourself some grace and gentleness and unconditional love and compassion as well. So again, if you're feeling any of those things, if that's resonating, if you want to know more, you might want a personal card pull. So consider that. Let's wrap up the tarot messages this week with the Friday card. All right. Friday brings in the final fire of the week, the Two of Wands. So like I said, this is the card that asks how we wish to wield our wands in the world, right? Again, over the water here. Water is emotion. Right? It's the flow. It's the feels. It brings us into the heart chakra. So there's this sense of, you know, leading through feeling into it versus what we think, getting into the mind with what we ought to desire, how we ought to wield our wands. So this Two of Wands says it's time to gather all you need to manifest and make plans. Thread all your designs with a focus on your core purpose. If you have a clear idea of your destiny, center it. If you're still unsure, build around your principles. Perhaps look beyond your immediate surroundings and talents to other sources and minds. Begin by exploring the possibilities without boundaries. Then work out the limitations and practicalities of how to get there after. That's really powerful because it's saying, yeah, don't sell yourself short. The sky is beyond the limit. You know, we go on to infinity and beyond in terms of what's possible, to think big and then think a little bigger than that. And then scale it back in terms of looking over, you know, the limitations and the practicalities and the who, what, when, where, why, how. Remember, expectation equals magnetization, right? What we expect, like a magnet, attracts in the people, places, and things. The universe gets to work when we initiate that spark of desire, the fire, the passion for something. It doesn't matter if it sounds outlandish or like you'd have to cross an ocean to get there. It's about putting it out there as big as you can into the world and then being in that energy, seeing yourself. How do you wish to feel? What do you want your days to be like? And all those things, and using that visualization to help you as well. Now, this really, starts, and it's the Two of Wands. So it's really in this, there's no action yet. We're still in this contemplative space of looking at the two being a crossroads, a choice point. And, 2-hour channeled words this month, which I did share here as an exclusive preview to the Empowerment Pack, the May We Till Truth and Tend Growth is bringing in our spiritual gardens and really digging down in the dirt to turn over that soil, to see again, what we grew last year, what we always plant year after year. Do I still want to grow that? Is it the truth that's it, right? That's for me. And this is where, take some time to just explore in the garden, right? We're using that as an analogy. And this is all part of what we're going to be unpacking this month in the Empowerment Pack. We're going to have a workbook for you, and it's going to have things like journal prompts and card spreads that you can do and just different questions for contemplation for you to work in your spiritual garden. So I love that these cards came forward this week. They really feel spot on and really initiating our conversation into the month of May. So let's see our final card, an oracle message to cap it all off. All right. Finishing off our messages for the week is this beautiful card, Love Overcomes Fear. The message says the key to loving well is to love from a secure, self-loving heart. True love involves receiving with grace, holding with gratitude, and letting go with generosity. In contrast, fear-driven, quote, love is common but unproductive, as it's not rooted in wholeness and can be forceful, withholding, and confining. Start by receiving unconditional love from yourself and others with grace. And this foundation allows you to extend love to others with genuine gratitude and generosity. Such love grows naturally rather than being forced. It shares freely and offers liberation without constraints. You may have been taught that self-love is indulgent or secondary to loving others. However, if you're not at peace with yourself, the love you offer others will stem from fear and insecurity. Ensure your heart is aligned with self-love so you can give and receive love in its truest, most fulfilling form. And the affirmation, may I receive with grace, love and gratitude, let go with generosity. I love that. Let go with generosity. How do we let go generously? And it's kind of like the understanding that when something is no longer serving us, but we keep it around to be polite, to not make waves, because we think we ought to, because somebody went to, whatever the reason is that we hold on to something past its freshness date, right? That actually we're doing a disservice to ourselves and others, because all of that stuff that we're holding on to that's no longer serving is taking up space. It's living there rent-free in our spiritual garden, and it's keeping us from really planting those new inspiring seeds that are most aligned. And so, it could be the new job or loving service or something that is just waiting for you to create space to kick off, that the time that you hold on to something that's really dead, something that's no longer giving life, no longer serving you or others, is days and weeks, months, maybe years that you're not able to really stand in your power and truly live your purpose, which could help infinite other people. So, I like that idea of letting go with generosity, because if I were to let go as generously as I take stuff on my plate, and now I'm thinking about that 9 of vessels and all those bowls filled with stuff, if I were to try to take every single one of them just to be polite, just to, not disappoint anyone, my arms are going to be full, and surely some of those bowls are going to drop. And that's not helping anybody. So I love that take on, letting go with generosity, and just knowing that when we create that space, the light will fill it, and that's really what this card is showing us, that fear is taking up space, and it's taking up time. It's taking up energy. It's taking up, the loving service and just whatever it is that the light wants to bring forward for you and others. So I think that's really powerful in terms of, but also that's not to say that you just, drop everything or let things go before you're ready. Because the way they're climbing the ladder there, it's sort of like hand over hand, wrong over wrong, one step at a time, right? You don't want to overdo it. We can't just drop everything all at once per se, but there's this energy of everything we do, if we do it with love, we can't go wrong. So whether I'm holding on to something, if I'm letting go of something with love, and that's love for all, not just for others, but for self first, then we're creating infinite space for the light to come in. So that's really cool. I love that. So really excited to keep going with these decks this week, this month. And actually this week I will be, because I'm going to be doing all of those month ahead readings for the Empowerment Pack participants. So I can't wait to see more of these decks, to see what comes up for each and every one of you. So once again, if you would like to join us, it's just kicking off. You're not late. You can join us with the Empowerment Pack, or if you just want those month ahead messages with both of these decks, plus check out the Hello Empowerment as well. Okay, guys, that is a wrap on this. I am going to let you go, and I will be back as we move through the week to check in. Always love to hear from you as well. If you would like a personal card pull, let me know, and we will take it from there. I am looking forward to it, and may the 4th be with you. Much love.